Chapter 1. Camille's Point of View. 3 years. 1,095 days of trying to be the perfect wife, and this was my reward: divorce papers on our anniversary. I stared at Stefan's perfect signature on the last page, the ink still fresh. He must have signed them this morning, probably right after I'd left that stupid handmade card on his desk. The one I'd spent hours making, like a fool who still believed in fairy tales. The anniversary card I made for my husband Stefan still sat on the kitchen counter, untouched. 3 years of marriage summed up in a handmade gesture he couldn't even bother to open. I'd spent hours on it last night, writing words I thought mattered. My coffee had gone cold. Funny how you notice small things when your world is falling apart. Sign here. And here. Stefan's voice was distant, businesslike. He'd laid out the divorce papers like contracts at one of his meetings, sticky tabs marking each signature line. The highlighted sections need initials. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. You're doing this today? On our anniversary. Camille, he sighed, that familiar sound of disappointment I'd heard so many times before. There's no point dragging this out. The morning sun streamed through our kitchen windows, catching the diamond on my finger. 3 carats, princess cut, picked out by his mother. Not your style, dear, but it's what a Rodriguez wife should wear, she'd said at the time. Like everything else in my life, it had never really been mine. Is there someone else? The question hung in the air between us. Stefan straightened his tie, Italian silk, the blue one I'd given him for Christmas. Yes. One word. That's all it took to erase 3 years of trying to be perfect. How long? 2 months. He wouldn't meet my eyes. She came back to town and... 2 months, I repeated. All those late nights at the office. The missed dinners. The way he'd stop kissing me goodbye in the mornings. Were you ever going to tell me? Or just keep lying until the papers were ready? I didn't want to hurt you. A laugh bubbled up, harsh, unfamiliar. That's thoughtful of you. My hand knocked against my coffee mug, sending it crashing to the floor. Dark liquid spread across the pristine tiles, staining the grout I'd scrubbed on hands and knees last week because his mother was coming to visit. Let me get that. Stefan reached for the paper towels. Don't. My voice cracked. Just. Don't pretend to care now. I bent to pick up the broken pieces. A photo slipped from between the divorce papers, landing face up in the spilled coffee. The world stopped. I knew that smile. Those eyes. That perfectly poised expression that had haunted every family photo since I was 12. Rose. My sister's name tasted like poison. Your first love was Rose? Stefan's silence said everything. Memories hit like punches to the gut. Rose helping me pick out my wedding dress. Rose giving toasts at our engagement party. Rose calling every week to check on my marriage, to give advice about keeping Stefan happy. My adopted sister. My parents' golden child. The one they'd chosen to love. She never left town, did she? The pieces were falling into place. She's been here the whole time, waiting. Playing the supportive sister while you both laughed at stupid, naive Camille. It wasn't like that. Stefan ran his hands through his hair, that gesture I used to find endearing. We tried to fight it. But some people are just meant to. If you say meant to be, I swear I'll throw this mug at your head. My fingers tightened around the broken ceramic. How long were you together before? Before me. He shifted uncomfortably. 4 years. Until she got the job offer in London. 4 years. The same time I'd started dating Stefan. The same time Rose had suddenly become my biggest cheerleader, pushing me toward him. She set this up, I whispered. All of it. And I fell for every piece. Camille, you're being dramatic. Rose cares about you. Like she cared when she told my first boyfriend I was damaged goods? Or when she convinced my parents I was too unstable for college? The broken mug cut into my palm, but I barely felt it. She's been sabotaging me my whole life, and I kept making excuses because that's what good sisters do, right? Blood dripped onto the divorce papers. Stefan reached for my hand, but I jerked away. Don't touch me. I grabbed a dish towel, wrapping it around my palm. Where is she now? Waiting to comfort me through my divorce? Planning your next wedding? She wanted to be here, but I thought it would be better. Better. I laughed again, the sound edged with hysteria. Yes, you've both been so concerned with what's better for me. Such caring people. I picked up the pen, the Mont Blanc he'd given me on our first anniversary. The one Rose had helped him choose. Camille, wait. We should talk about this properly. I signed every page, my signature perfectly steady. Let them see I wasn't breaking. Let them think they'd won. I'm done talking. I gathered my purse, the signed papers, Rose's photo. Done pretending. Done being the good sister, the perfect wife, the daughter who never complains. Where are you going? Away from you. Away from her. Away from everyone who thinks Camille Lewis is someone they can use and discard. My phone buzzed, Rose's smiling face lit up the screen. Right on cue, coming to play her part. I declined the call and walked to the door. Behind me, Stefan called out, "You can't just leave. We need to discuss arrangements, the house, the accounts. You can have it all." I turned to face him one last time. The house, the cars, the life you built on lies. I don't want anything that reminds me of either of you. Camille, please. Goodbye, Stefan. I smiled, and something in my expression made him step back. Give Rose my love, tell her thank you, actually. For what? For finally showing me the truth. About her, about you, about who I need to become. I walked out of that house, out of that life, leaving bloody fingerprints on the door handle. Let them try to erase those as easily as they'd erased me. 3 years of pretending to be someone I wasn't. 3 years of swallowing pain and making excuses for people who never deserved my loyalty. My phone buzzed again. Rose. Then my mother. Then Stefan. One by one, I blocked them all. Every connection to the life I thought I had to live. In my rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of my reflection. Tears streaked my makeup, blood stained my dress, my hair had come loose from its perfect twist. I looked nothing like the polished, proper wife Stefan Rodriguez had married. Chapter 2. Camille's point of view. The house was quiet, too quiet. I slipped in through the side door, locking it softly behind me. The air smelled like lemon polish and roses, just like it always did. It felt strange to be back, like stepping into someone else's life. The kitchen was dark except for the faint glow of the fridge light. I crept up the stairs, careful to skip the third step that creaked. Every sound I made felt loud, like the house itself was listening. When I reached my bedroom door, I stopped. It was open a crack, just like I'd left it all those years ago. Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside and shut the door. My childhood bedroom hadn't changed in 3 years. Same pale pink walls, same white furniture, same collection of second-place trophies. Rose's first place ones used to shine in the room next door. I stared at my reflection in the vanity mirror, the same one where I'd practiced my wedding makeup 3 years ago, Rose standing behind me with that perfect smile. Now my mascara was smeared, hair wild, designer dress wrinkled. Mom would have a fit if she saw me like this. The clock on my nightstand read 10:47 p.m. I'd been sitting here for hours, packing what little of my old life I wanted to keep. Amazing how 17 years in this house fit into one duffel bag. My phone buzzed again, the 20th time in an hour. This time it was Mom. Camille, this is ridiculous. Come home so we can discuss this like adults. Rose is worried sick. I hung up. Of course Rose was worried. Her carefully laid plans were unraveling. The front door clicked open downstairs. I froze, listening to familiar footsteps on hardwood. The slight tap of heels, the whisper of expensive fabric. Camille. Mom's voice floated up the stairs. Darling, I know you're here. The housekeeper saw your car. I should have parked around the block. Should have been smarter, faster, better at disappearing. But I'd never been the clever one, had I? That was Rose's role. More footsteps. A deeper voice, Dad, probably called home from work to deal with his hysterical younger daughter. Again. Princess. His voice carried that same gentle tone he'd used when I was 12, crying about Rose getting my spot in the school play. Let's talk about this. A third set of footsteps made my blood freeze. Lighter, more graceful. Perfect, like everything else about her. Camille. Rose's voice dripped concern. Sweetie, please. Don't shut us out. I looked at the family photo on my dresser, taken the day Rose's adoption was finalized. Mom and Dad beaming, Rose radiant in her new dress, 13-year-old me trying to smile through braces and acne. One big happy family. What a joke. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. But I've been practicing for months. I clutched my script, tears blurring the words. Mrs. Bennet said the lead was mine. Rose touched my shoulder, gentle as always. Oh, sweetie. I didn't mean to take your part. I just. The words came so naturally in the audition. Mrs. Bennet said I had a gift. Of course she did. Everyone said Rose had a gift. For music, for acting, for making people love her. Maybe. Rose's eyes lit up with that special gleam that always meant trouble. Maybe you could help me practice? Be my supporting actress? We could make it our sister thing. I'd agreed. Because that's what good sisters did. Because saying no to Rose meant disappointed looks from Mom, lectures from Dad about family loyalty. Opening night, I watched from the wings as Rose brought the audience to tears. Afterward, Mom bought her roses. Dad took us all to dinner. No one mentioned that I'd written Rose's best lines during our practice sessions. Or that her dramatic monologue had been word for word what I'd performed in my original audition. Rose just had a gift for memorization, that's all. Camille Elizabeth Lewis. Mom's voice sharpened. This behavior is completely unacceptable. I opened my bedroom door. They stood in the hallway like a perfect family portrait, Mom in her designer suit, Dad looking distinguished in his work clothes, Rose wearing concern like the latest fashion trend. Hello, sister. My voice came out steady. Shouldn't you be comforting your fiancé? Rose's eyes widened. Always the performer. Camille, please. Let me explain. Explain what? How you've been sleeping with my husband. Or how you set this whole thing up from the beginning? What is she talking about? Dad turned to Rose, who already had tears forming. Perfect, delicate tears that never smeared her makeup. She's upset, Rose whispered. Lashing out. You know how she gets, Daddy. Don't. My laugh sounded strange, even to me. Don't you dare play that card again. Show them the ring, Rose. The one Stefan gave you 2 months ago while I was supposedly too sick to attend the charity gala. Mom gasped. Dad's face darkened. But Rose's mask slipped for just a second. I saw it this time, that flash of cold calculation behind the concern. It wasn't like that, she started. Really? Then how was it? Explain to everyone how you've been calling me every week, giving me marriage advice while sleeping with my husband. Tell them about all the times you helped me pick out lingerie for anniversaries when Stefan was really working late with you. That's enough. Mom stepped forward. Rose would never. Never what, Mom? Never lie? Never manipulate? Never steal something that belonged to her sister? I pulled out my phone, playing the last voicemail from Stefan. His voice filled the hallway. Rose is my soulmate, Camille. We tried to fight it, but some people are just meant to be together. You have to understand. The silence that followed was deafening. Rose recovered first. I never meant to hurt you. We can't help who we love. The sound of my palm connecting with her cheek echoed like a gunshot. Camille. Mom grabbed my arm. Have you lost your mind? No, I said quietly, watching a red mark bloom on Rose's perfect face. For the first time in 14 years, I'm seeing clearly. I walked past them, duffel bag in hand. Behind me, Rose's sobs started, the same performance she'd perfected over years of turning everyone against me. Where are you going? Dad called after me. You can't just walk away from family. I paused at the top of the stairs, looking back at my so-called family. Mom comforting Rose, Dad looking torn, and my sister watching me through her tears with eyes that held no warmth at all. Family. I smiled, and something in my expression made them all step back. No, this isn't family. This is a game. And for 14 years, I've been playing by Rose's rules. Camille, please, Rose reached for me, ever the caring sister. Let me make this right. I caught her wrist before she could touch me. You taught me well, big sister. About manipulation. About patience. About waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Her eyes widened, real fear this time, not performed. Thank you for the lessons, I whispered, letting her go. Now watch how well I learned them. I walked down the stairs, ignoring their calls. In the foyer mirror, I caught one last glimpse of myself, mascara stained, wild-eyed, finally unchained. Chapter 3. Rose's point of view. I swirled the champagne in my crystal flute, watching the bubbles dance. Victory tasted sweet, just like I'd imagined all these years. The living room of my penthouse apartment overlooked the city where I'd spent 20 years pretending to be the perfect adopted daughter, the loving sister, the supportive friend. What a joke. To freedom, I whispered to my reflection in the window. The woman staring back at me smiled, perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect lies. Just like always. My phone buzzed again. Another missed call from Stefan. He'd been calling nonstop since Camille walked out, probably worried I'd change my mind now that everything was in the open. Poor, predictable Stefan. Still thinking he was in control of any of this, I kicked off my Louboutins and sank into the leather couch, letting memories wash over me like warm wine. The first time I saw Camille Lewis, I hated her. I was 13, fresh out of foster care, desperate to please my new parents. They'd brought me to this massive house with its manicured lawn and marble floors, promising me a fresh start. A real family. Then this skinny thing with braces and messy hair came bouncing down the stairs, all eager smiles and innocent eyes. Hi. I'm Camille. I've always wanted a sister. She hugged me right there in the foyer, not caring that my clothes were second-hand or that I smelled like the group home's industrial detergent. Just pure, genuine joy at having a sister. I wanted to vomit. Because there she was, this awkward, imperfect girl who had everything I'd spent 13 years dreaming about. Parents who actually wanted her. A home she belonged in. A future secured by the Lewis family name. And she didn't even appreciate it properly. I watched her over dinner that first night, watched how she slouched in her chair and talked with her mouth full. How she didn't know which fork to use for salad. How she laughed too loud and asked too many questions. Rose has such lovely manners, Mrs. Lewis, Mom, had said, smiling at me. Perhaps you could learn from your new sister, Camille. That's when I saw it. The first crack in Camille's perfect world. The slight dimming of her smile, the way she sat up straighter, tried harder. It was beautiful. My phone buzzed again, pulling me back to the present. Stefan's face lit up my screen, his 5th call in an hour. With a sigh, I answered. Darling, you're being needy. Rose. His voice was rough. Had he been drinking? She's gone. Really gone. Blocked my number, cleaned out her closet. Isn't that what we wanted? I kept my voice gentle, soothing. The same tone I'd used all those times I counseled Camille through her marital problems. Problems I'd carefully orchestrated. The way she looked at me. Stefan, sweetheart. I let steel edge into my sweetness. Are you having second thoughts? After everything we've been through? No. No, of course not. I love you. I've always loved you. Then stop calling me about your ex-wife. It's pathetic. I hung up, tossing the phone aside. Men were so predictably weak. Even Stefan, who I'd spent 4 years grooming before pushing him toward Camille, still needed constant management. But he'd served his purpose. Just like everyone else in my carefully constructed game. The family photo on my mantel caught my eye, my adoption day. I stood in the center, of course. Always the center. Camille pushed to the edge of the frame, trying so hard to smile through her insecurities. God, it had been easy. Almost too easy. A little whisper here about how Camille was unstable. A few concerned conversations with Mom about how worried I was about my dear sister's emotional state. Casual mentions to Dad about how Camille seemed to be struggling with basic adult responsibilities. 14 years of careful groundwork, positioning myself as the responsible daughter, the achievable dream, while slowly crushing Camille's confidence, her relationships, her sense of self. The college rejection was particularly inspired, if I do say so myself. All it took was one tearful conversation with Mom about finding Camille's secret diary, filled with dark thoughts and destructive plans. Plans I'd written myself, of course, in Camille's childish handwriting that I'd spent months practicing to forge. Suddenly, their precious younger daughter wasn't ready for college. Needed time to find herself. Needed to stay close to home where they could watch her. Where I could watch her. I took another sip of champagne, savoring the moment. Because this was what I'd really wanted all along. Not Stefan, he was just a useful pawn. Not the Louis fortune, though that would come in time. No, what I wanted was to watch perfect, precious Camille finally break. To see her realize that everything she thought she had, family, love, security, had been built on my lies. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Rose, darling, please come over. Your father and I need to talk about what happened. I smiled, already planning my performance. The tearful confusion, the reluctant confession about Stefan's pursuit, the gentle concern about Camille's mental state. By the time I was done, they'd be thanking me for protecting them from their unstable daughter all these years. Standing up, I walked to my closet, selecting the perfect outfit for my next scene. Something subtle but expensive. Grieving sister, not celebrating victor. The massive walk-in closet had been Camille's wedding gift to me. So you'll always have space for your amazing fashion sense, she'd said, hugging me tight. Even then, even after years of watching me steal every spotlight, every opportunity, every scrap of parental approval, she'd still loved me. Still trusted me. Idiot. I pulled out a cream cashmere sweater, remembering how Camille used to borrow my clothes in high school. How I'd wait until she had something important, a date, a presentation, an interview, then suddenly remember I needed that exact outfit. She'd always given them back without argument. Always apologized for the inconvenience. Always tried so hard to be the perfect sister. My reflection caught my eye, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw something ugly there. Something that looked like the scared, angry foster kid who'd walked into the Lewis house all those years ago. But then I blinked, and I was perfect Rose again. Flawless Rose. Rose who could do no wrong. Slipping on my Cartier bracelet, another gift from my dear sister, I prepared for my next performance. The concerned family meeting would need just the right touch of reluctant honesty, devastated betrayal. Oh, Camille, I whispered to my reflection, practicing my worried frown. What have you done to yourself? But as I turned to leave, something made me pause. That look in Camille's eyes before she'd walked out, I'd never seen it before. Not in 20 years of pushing her, testing her, breaking her. It had looked almost like understanding. Like she'd finally seen through my mask to the truth underneath. I shook off the uneasy feeling. Camille was weak, just like I'd made her. She'd run away, lick her wounds, maybe try to start over somewhere new. But she'd never be free of me. I'd made sure of that years ago. Chapter 4. Stefan's point of view. The scotch burned going down, but I poured another anyway. My third. Fourth. I'd lost count somewhere between signing those divorce papers and watching Camille walk away. Our wedding photo still sat on my desk, mocking me. Camille's genuine smile, my distracted eyes, already looking past her, always looking for Rose. Rose. Even her name felt like betrayal now. My phone lit up with another message from her. Darling, stop drinking and come over. We should celebrate. Celebrate. Like we hadn't just destroyed someone who loved us. Someone who'd given me 3 years of devotion I never deserved. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. Stefan. Camille's voice was small, uncertain. Did I do something wrong? I looked up from my laptop, irritated at the interruption. She stood in the doorway of my home office, holding a plate of something that smelled amazing. I made that pasta you mentioned. The one with truffles? Her eyes were hopeful. Rose gave me the recipe. Of course she had. Rose had made that pasta for me in Rome, years ago. Back when we were. Whatever we were. I'm busy. I didn't even look at the plate. Just leave it. Oh. A pause. It's just, you've been working late all week, and I thought. Camille. My voice sharp with an anger that wasn't really meant for her. I said I'm busy. She left the plate and disappeared, quiet as always. The pasta sat untouched until morning, a perfect recreation of a memory that belonged to another woman. I hurled my glass at the wall, watching crystal shatter like the life I'd built on lies. God, I'd been cruel. Not just at the end, but throughout our marriage. Every missed dinner, every forgotten anniversary, every time I'd chosen work over her, all excuses to avoid the guilt of wanting her sister. My phone buzzed again. Mother this time. Darling, I just heard from Rose. Are you all right? Do you need anything? I always said Camille wasn't suited for our family. I silenced the phone, remembering another moment I tried to forget. She's trying so hard, Stefan. Rose's voice was gentle as she poured me another drink. We were alone in my office after another disastrous family dinner. Maybe if you gave her more guidance. Like you did. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice, teaching her all the ways to be perfect. Rose's laugh was musical, practiced. Everything about her was practiced. Are you saying you preferred me imperfect? The air between us crackled with unspoken history. 4 years of passion and plans, ended by her sudden departure to London. Or so she claimed. Why did you really leave? The question slipped out, colored by whiskey and old pain. You know why. She touched my cheek, familiar and forbidden. Camille needed a chance at happiness. We both agreed. Had we? I couldn't remember anymore. Everything from that time felt hazy, manipulated. Like watching a play where I'd forgotten my lines. She loves you, Rose whispered, too close now. More than I ever could. But her eyes said something different. They always had. Another memory surfaced, this one from last week. The moment everything changed. I made your favorite breakfast. Camille's smile was bright, genuine. Always so damn genuine. Happy anniversary. The divorce papers burned in my briefcase, Rose's perfume still lingering on my clothes from our late-night meeting. I can't. I grabbed my keys, avoiding her eyes. Early meeting. Oh. Her voice cracked slightly. Will you be home for dinner? I thought we could. Don't wait up. I'd spent that evening with Rose, planning how to break the news. She'd worn the same perfume she'd worn in Rome, all those years ago. It's kinder this way, she'd said, stroking my hair. A clean break. Camille will understand eventually. Would she? The look in her eyes when she'd seen Rose's photo. My office door opened, startling me from the memory. Mother stood there, perfectly coiffed even at midnight. Really, darling? Drinking alone in the dark? Not now, Mother. She clicked across the room, surveying the broken glass with disapproval. Rose is worried about you. We all are. Worried. I laughed, harsh and broken. Like you were worried about Camille all these years? That girl was never right for you. Mother's voice hardened. Rose, on the other hand. Stop. I stood, unsteady. Just. Stop. Stefan Rodriguez, you will not speak to me that way. I raised you better. Did you? The words exploded out of me. You raised me to what? String along a woman who loved me while pining for her sister? Listen to you tear her down at every opportunity? Mother stepped back, shocked. In 28 years, I'd never raised my voice to her. Everything she did was wrong, wasn't it? I continued, the scotch making me brave. Her clothes, her manners, her cooking. Nothing was ever good enough. But Rose. Rose was perfect. Because she understands our world. She understands manipulation. The truth hit me like a freight train. She played us all. You, me, Camille. Don't be ridiculous. Mother straightened her designer jacket. Rose loves you. She always has. Had she? Or had she loved the game more? I remembered the cold calculation in her eyes when she'd orchestrated our chance meetings after returning from London. The way she'd encouraged Camille's insecurities while playing the supportive sister. Even our reunion 2 months ago felt staged now. The charity gala, Camille conveniently sick, Rose in that dress I'd loved in Rome. Mother. I sank back into my chair, suddenly exhausted. Please leave. Stefan. Go. Tell Rose. Tell her. What? That I was sorry? That I finally saw through her perfect mask? That I'd destroyed my marriage for a fantasy she'd carefully crafted? Mother left, her disappointment hanging in the air like expensive perfume. Like Rose's perfume. Like all the artificial, manipulated pieces of this life I'd chosen. My phone lit up with another message. Rose again, darling, stop being dramatic. Come home. To me. Home. I looked around my office, at the shattered glass and scattered papers. At Camille's wedding photo, her genuine smile now seeming like an accusation. What had I done? Chapter 5. Camille's point of view. The parking garage of the hotel where I lodged was too quiet. My heels echoed against concrete, each click bouncing off empty cars and shadowed pillars. It was late, past midnight, but something felt wrong. Off. My confrontation with Rose and my family had left me drained, empty except for the cold satisfaction of finally seeing behind her mask. I fumbled with my key fob, wanting nothing more than to get to my hotel room and plan my next move. A car door slammed somewhere in the darkness. I stopped, listening. Nothing but the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of traffic. My phone buzzed in my purse. Rose's number. I declined it, but not before noticing my signal had dropped to 1 bar. Perfect. Footsteps behind me. Multiple sets. I walked faster, cursing my choice of heels. The hotel's elevator was just around the corner, past a row of concrete pillars. If I could just. Going somewhere, Mrs. Rodriguez? A man stepped out from behind a pillar. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black. Professional. 2 more appeared behind me, cutting off my retreat. Not a random attack, then. Actually, it's Ms. Lewis now. My voice stayed steady despite my racing heart. And I have a dinner reservation, so if you'll excuse me. The first man smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm afraid your plans have changed. I gripped my purse tighter, feeling for the pepper spray I'd started carrying after signing the divorce papers. Did my sister send you? Or was it Stefan? Our employer prefers to remain anonymous. He stepped closer. Now, we can do this the easy way. I didn't let him finish. The pepper spray caught him directly in the eyes. He screamed, stumbling backward. I ran, kicking off my heels as I sprinted for the elevator. The other 2 men shouted, their footsteps thundering behind me. Almost there. Just a few more. Pain exploded in my scalp as someone grabbed my hair, yanking me backward. My purse went flying, contents scattering across the concrete. That wasn't very nice. The first man's voice was rough with pain and rage. Hold her. Strong hands gripped my arms. I fought, kicking, scratching, but they were too strong. Professional. Trained. Our employer said you might be difficult. The first man wiped his streaming eyes. Said you needed to learn your place. Rose. This had Rose written all over it. Her parting shot, making sure I understood just how powerless I really was. If you're going to kill me, I spat, at least have the guts to look me in the eyes. He laughed. Kill you? No, no. Just a message. A reminder of what happens to people who don't know when to let go. The first punch caught me in the stomach, driving the air from my lungs. I doubled over, gasping, but the men holding me kept me upright. See, some people don't understand their role in life. Another blow, this one to my ribs. Some people need to be taught. I tasted blood. My vision blurred, pain shooting through my body. But I wouldn't cry. Wouldn't give Rose the satisfaction. That's enough. The voice cut through the garage like a whip crack. Female. Authoritative. My attackers tensed. Through swollen eyes, I saw dark figures emerging from the shadows. Men in suits, moving with military precision. And behind them, a woman. Tall, elegant, probably in her 50s but with an ageless quality about her. She wore a black designer suit that probably cost more than my car, her silver hair swept into a perfect chignon. But it was her eyes that caught me. Sharp, intelligent, and oddly familiar. Ma'am, one of my attackers started, our employer is about to have a very bad day. The woman's voice was ice. Release her. Now. The hands holding me disappeared. I slumped forward, pain shooting through my ribs. Secure them. The woman's command sent her men moving. My attackers didn't even try to run. They knew better. She walked toward me, heels clicking on concrete. Designer shoes. Probably cost more than my monthly rent. Camille Lewis. Not a question. She knew exactly who I was. I tried to straighten, to maintain some dignity despite my split lip and torn dress. Do I know you? Her eyes softened, just slightly. Like she was seeing something, someone else in my face. No. She gestured, and more men appeared with a medical kit. But I knew someone very much like you, once. Someone who also had to learn the hard way about trust and betrayal. The world was getting fuzzy around the edges. Blood dripped onto my ruined dress, each breath sending knives through my ribs. Who? I swayed, darkness creeping in. Who are you? She stepped forward, catching me as my knees buckled. This close, I could smell her perfume, something expensive, unique. Something that tickled at the edges of my memory. Someone who's been watching you for a very long time, Camille. Her voice seemed to come from far away. Someone who's going to help you become everything they tried to prevent. The darkness was winning now. But before it took me completely, I heard her last words. After all, you look just like my daughter. Then nothing but black. Chapter 6. Camille's point of view. I woke to silk sheets and sunlight. For a moment, I thought I was back in my childhood bedroom, before everything fell apart. But the ceiling above me was unfamiliar, hand-painted cherubs floating in a cloudless sky, framed by gilded molding that probably cost more than my entire wedding. Pain shot through my ribs as I tried to sit up, memories flooding back. The parking garage. Rose's hired thugs. The mysterious woman with silver hair. Careful. A voice from the doorway made me turn. 3 bruised ribs and a mild concussion. The doctor said you need rest. She stood there like something from a fashion magazine, tailored black pantsuit, pearls that definitely weren't fake, silver hair swept into an elegant twist. But it was her eyes that held me. Sharp. Calculating. Hauntingly familiar. Where am I? My voice was rough. Who are you? You're safe. She moved into the room with fluid grace, settling into a chair beside my bed. As for who I am, my name is Victoria Kane. The name hit like a physical shock. Everyone knew Victoria Kane, the ruthless CEO who'd built Kane Industries from nothing, the woman Forbes called the Queen of Wall Street. She was worth billions, moved markets with a phone call, and was rumored to be more powerful than most governments. Why? I swallowed hard. Why am I here? Something flickered in her eyes, pain, maybe, or memory. Because 3 years ago, I saw a photo in a society magazine. A young woman at some charity gala, wearing a dress that didn't quite fit, smiling bravely while her perfect sister held court. The gala. One of Rose's many triumphs, orchestrated to highlight the difference between us. The photo caught my attention, Victoria continued, but it was your eyes that made me look closer. They were familiar. She reached for her phone, pulling up an image that made my breath catch. A young woman, maybe my age, with my face. My eyes. My smile. Your daughter? The resemblance was uncanny. Sophia. Victoria's voice softened. She would have been 32 this year. Would have been. The words hung heavy in the air. What happened? Car accident. 10 years ago. Her fingers traced the photo. Though accident is a polite fiction. Her fiancé's family didn't approve of the match. Brake lines are so easily tampered with. I slid down my spine. Did they face consequences? A smile that could cut glass. Eventually. But that's not why you're here. She set down her phone, fixing me with that penetrating gaze. After I saw your photo, I had you investigated. Learned about your family dynamics, your marriage, your sister's activities. You've been watching me? It should have felt creepy, but somehow it didn't. Why? Because I recognized something in you. Something I saw in Sophia. Raw potential, wrapped in other people's expectations. A diamond they tried to pass off as glass. My heart pounded. I don't understand. Don't you? She leaned forward. I watched you try to fit their mold. Watched you shut away parts of yourself to please them. Watched them clip your wings while convincing you it was for your own good. Tears burned my eyes. Like the college acceptance. Which Rose sabotaged. Yes, I know about that too. Just like I know about the diary she forged, the jobs she made sure you didn't get, the friends she slowly turned against you. You know everything. My voice cracked. And you just watched. I waited. She stood, moving to the window. Waited to see if you'd break or bloom. Waited for the moment you finally saw through their perfect lies. The confrontation with Rose flashed through my mind. And now, she turned back to me, sunlight casting her in silhouette. Now I'm offering you a choice. You can walk away from all of this. I'll set you up somewhere new, comfortable, far from them. Or I can teach you to be what they always feared you might become. Powerful. Independent. Free. She moved back to my bedside, and suddenly I saw what made her so formidable. It wasn't just the money or the influence. It was the absolute certainty that the world would bend to her will. Your sister spent 20 years teaching you about manipulation, she continued. Let me teach you about power. Real power, not the petty games she plays. Why? I had to know. Because I look like your daughter? No. Her hand touched mine, surprisingly warm. Because you look like I did, 40 years ago. Before I learned that the world doesn't give you what you deserve, it gives you what you have the strength to take. I stared at our joined hands, seeing the perfect manicure that probably cost more than my monthly salary. And if I say yes, then I adopt you. Publicly, legally, completely. You become Camille Kane, heir to everything I've built. Her smile turned sharp. Imagine your sister's face when she realizes the investor she's been desperately courting is her weak little sister. The thought sent a thrill through me. She'd lose her mind. That's just the beginning. I'll teach you everything I know. Business. Strategy. Power. In 5 years, you won't just survive their games, you'll rewrite the rules. And what do you get out of this? Victoria's eyes met mine, and for a moment I saw raw honesty. A chance to finish what Sophia started. A chance to see someone bloom instead of break. And a pause. A chance to have a daughter again. I thought about my life, the careful box they'd put me in, the dreams they'd stolen, the lies they'd fed me, thought about Rose's smug smile and Stefan's betrayal and my parents' willing blindness. When do we start? Victoria's smile was like sunrise, brilliant and inevitable. We already have. She reached for a folder on the bedside table. First, we need to establish your disappearance. Make them think their thugs succeeded. Let them think I'm understanding dawned. Let them think they broke me. For now. She opened the folder, revealing documents, passports, bank statements. While you heal, while you learn, while you become who you are meant to be. I sat up straighter, ignoring the pain in my ribs. And then, Victoria Kane, my new mother, smiled like a queen bestowing kingdoms. Then we show them exactly what happens when you try to cage a wolf in sheep's clothing. Looking at her, I finally understood what real power looked like. Not Rose's petty manipulations or Stefan's inherited privilege. This was something else. Something primal. Something they'd tried to crush in me. But they'd failed. And now they'd pay. When can I sign the papers? I asked. Victoria's laugh was rich with promise. That's my girl. For the first time in 14 years, those words